Hello, welcome to Lesson 2, a case study and role-specific application. My name is Charles Anderson, and today we will be examining a fatal first flight lesson from 2022 in Newport News, Virginia. We'll analyze how human factors shape the outcome. The aviation role for this case study is flight instructor. Human factors are critical in training, especially when students have no prior experience. In this case, the first flight lesson ended in tragedy when a Cessna 172 stalled shortly after takeoff. The instructor allowed the student to assist with takeoff, as is quite normal. At rotation speed, she told him to pull back on the yoke, and he complied, but he continued pulling until the airplane exceeded its critical angle of attack. At less than 200 feet, the aircraft stalled and impacted terrain. The instructor was fatally injured, while the student and a passenger were seriously hurt. The NTSB found no mechanical failures. Now, looking at the probable cause, the NTSB concluded it was the flight instructor's failure to monitor the student pilot on takeoff and her delayed remedial action to stop him from exceeding the airplane's critical angle of attack, resulting in a low-altitude aerodynamic stall from which she was unable to recover. This is definitely a clear human factors failure. There were a few items that contributed, which was a lapse of attention from the instructor, the delayed intervention, and of course exceeding the pitch or critical angle of attack. Looking at the contributing human factors, this case will highlight 4 key issues: lack of situational awareness, no effective positive exchange of controls, expectancy bias, and delayed reaction. The syllabus they were studying under required a controlled transfer briefing, but neither the student nor the passenger recalled it. Without clarity, control authority becomes ambiguous. Looking at the human factors related to it, we see there was a chain of failures. We had a task-saturated student, an inexperienced instructor with only 75 hours as a certified flight instructor, and a breakdown in standard procedures. No mechanical issues were found. The accident was entirely preventable through better human factors management. Scripture speaks directly to this issue by saying, "Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace." Flight instructors are stewards of life and knowledge. Proverbs 10:9 reminds us, "Whoever walks in integrity walks securely." Integrity means applying procedures consistently, not skipping them. Stewardship and integrity could have prevented this accident. We have some lessons to be learned from this case. An instructor must anticipate a student's over-control. They must enforce positive control exchanges every single flight. They need to verify comprehension when giving instructions to a student, and they must intervene early, especially with a student on their very first flight lesson. Stewardship as an instructor means protecting students, even from their own inexperience, maybe even especially from their own inexperience. Now, there are a few things we may want to consider, possibly even discuss with our peers, such as how might earlier intervention have changed the outcome? Would it have? Maybe, maybe not. What role did communication failures play? How can stewardship guide instructors in their duty of care? And what professional habits must instructors always model? These are always good things to consider, especially when reviewing an accident such as this. This accident is extremely sad, not just because someone lost their life, but because it was entirely preventable. The NTSB's conclusion was that it was a pure human factors accident with no mechanical issues whatsoever. It just shows us how instructors must approach training with stewardship and integrity. They need to model professionalism and anticipate errors before they become fatal. By applying these principles, we will honor both aviation safety and biblical leadership. Thank you for spending some time listening to me go over this horrible accident. While this was just a quick summary, you can find more information from the National Transportation Safety Board in a downloadable PDF stored in the resources section of this website. All other references, if there is no download available, will have a link pointing you in the right direction. Once again, I want to thank you for spending some time with me, and God bless.